All right, well, welcome to the Tape It. All right, well, welcome to the Tape It Till You Make It podcast.
Oh, that's in. That's it. That's our intro.
Yeah, whatever. All right, well, welcome back to the Tape It Till You Make It podcast. Today we have some big heavy hitter guests. We've got Jeff Livingston, co-founder and CEO of Noravera here, and John Flair, creative director of Noravera, and I'm Nathan Isings, an editor here at Noravera. And yeah, this is our second ever recording of the podcast. And yeah, I'm really happy you guys are here, so thanks for coming.
Yeah, no worries. Stoked to be here.
Yeah, it's good to make the trip all the way from my desk in the next room.
Oh, I know. I wasn't sure when we'd ever get you over here.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, today I wanted to chat something that comes into play a lot about how we do things at Noravera, but not something we talk about a lot, which is working in a small scale like personnel team here at Noravera. So I wanted to kind of set the stage a bit and ask you guys if you could just talk a little bit on a surface level about who we are here at Noravera and how we kind of structure our team to do what we do. So yeah, what do you guys think?
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, if people don't know what we do, I mean, we should at least talk about what we do and what kind of stuff we do at Noravera. I mean,
Make movies.
yeah, we make cool, make rad shit, as I always like to say.
Yeah.
Totally.
I use the word rad a lot
Mm-hmm.
when describing our stuff. I don't know why. It feels rad though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's like we create engaging content for marketing purposes and tell stories, and I feel that there's a lot of heart and passion and excitement that goes into it, and you have to be able to do that, you have to have a team that understands that and are also rad people.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a big part of it.
Yeah, you gotta have it. Like, it's all about people loving what they do and like, you know, filling the room with people who actually want to be doing that. Like I've said, it's like since the very beginning, it's just like, if you do this on your free time without getting paid, then that's the kind of people we want here. Is like people who are going to do it anyway. We will pay them, I guess, but if we have to. But I mean, like if you're gonna sit at home and make videos and like be the kind of person that just like wants to make cool shit, make rad shit, then like, you know, you're gonna make awesome stuff when you're paid for it. When you're like really, you know, devoting a lot of time and energy to it, and because you want to be there.
Totally. Yeah.
It's an interesting thing when we hired Lucas behind the camera. He's probably the first resume I've actually looked at in all of the years of us hiring, just as it was a different role for like more marketing focused versus editing or filming, where you can really see how capable people are with what they do. And that's the neat thing about the work that we do, is that whenever we create something for our clients, it then gets shared and promoted and all of that, and it helps promote what we do. But so with that, you're really able to get a sense and see a skill set by watching what people are able to create. So it's really about trying to make sure that the people are fun and the people are fit within the culture that we have, and just are positive, optimistic, creative, and just always wanting to try to learn and do better, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. Something I said last time is like one of the best things about being here, like John said, like if you're going to be doing this on your own time, it's kind of, you know, doing this is kind of in your DNA, and like being able to really strongly identify with what you do for 40 hours a week, plus sometimes is just so great, and it really frees you up to you know, explore other parts of yourself too, and that just kind of feeds all the way back to the job and doing even better work, for sure. But yeah, let's go back in time a bit, because you two have seen Noravera go from a 2 to 3 to now we're a 9-person operation now, right?
Yeah.
So what is the signal that it's time to bring someone else new on? Because like it's easy to say like we've grown.
When you're swamped, when you're too swamped, you're like, oh fuck, we have that to do next week. That's pretty much how it's always gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of it's an interesting thing, and that's definitely a challenge with having a small team is trying to, and especially working in mainly a contract basis for project to project contracts, is that you have the ebbs and flows of work as the year goes on, and it can be seasonal. It usually takes a dip in December when people start having drinks and holiday parties, and then once everyone gets back to work in January, it takes a bit of time for ramp up for things to pick up into February and into March sometimes for actually the creative and the filming to start happening again. So it's about trying to find that balance. And yeah, like Jon said, it's like when it just feels like it's too much on a consistent basis, or you can see what's coming in the pipeline, it's time to bring someone new on, and we're getting better and better at that for sure.
Yeah, it like,
was very reactionary earlier on,
yeah,
but
totally.
we're starting to get our shit together and understand what we're doing a bit more.
Yeah, it's always a work in progress, really. Like even now we're still like working at getting to be able to look at further and further down the line too. Because before, we were just saying this earlier this morning, that like we used to make decisions with probably like 5 days of foresight into it. So you'd like, it's like, oh shit, that's happening next week. Okay, I guess we got to like hire a bunch of people or something. But now, as I think as you get more organized and more, more experienced in like running a small business or any business, you can just look further and further ahead in time, and the forecasts get better, the people management gets better. Like everything basically just gets better the more time you put into it and the more effort you put into it. And we've done a lot of work on that, try to get that as good as possible.
Yeah. Yeah, it used to be, we have money in the bank account. Sweet, we're good to go. Oh, we don't have money in the bank account? Let's start doing business development. Yeah. Or now we're actually able to, see into the future a little more with our forecasting models and all that sort of stuff. So nice. Allows me to sleep better at night, that's for sure.
Yeah, remember like back in the day when it would be like, oh, we got a $50,000 project, that'll pay for most of someone's salary for the whole year. So let's hire a person, and then we can just employ them the whole time. That was like the thought process, like early days, when we didn't really know what we were doing. We're just kind of like just going with it, just getting paid and then spending that money wherever we thought it made sense. And most of the time I'd say it probably didn't make sense, but it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, from an outsider who came in, I was thinking about this yesterday. I've been here for 8 months, and
that's crazy.
It feels like yesterday. Like it's just gone by so fast. Yeah. But yeah, from an outsider coming in at this point in the business, it felt like to me, like you guys have definitely carved your own path through this whole process. But at this point, it's very seasoned and well oiled, and there's a pretty good reason why you guys do what you do. But at the same time, I know that nobody else does it like we do, which really fascinated me. So I think that's really cool. But what would you guys say were kind of like the big milestones that kind of grew Noravera to where it is today? Were there any kind of big stakes in the timeline that kind of got you guys where you are?
Yeah, I mean, starting from the very start, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, so Geoff, some backstory, Geoff and his friend / business partner, Brian CC, started the company. I don't even know what year was that?
2012.
12, yeah.
Brian, it all started with us filming. I grew up filming skiing and mountain biking and just love creating content with friends. And then we got into filming weddings, and I was doing that during the summers as I went to BCIT. I went to Cap College for a couple of years doing interactive design, then worked for an action sports online marketing company when YouTube was kind of starting and all of that. It ended up running out of money, so I went back to BCIT during that time. And yeah, again, just filming weddings throughout the summers, where Brian was doing that more on a full-time basis as he had finished film school at Cap College. And then we wanted our summers back, and we filming over 100 weddings myself. Brian's like more than that. It just, you want to start creating and coming up with concepts and planning out things to shoot and create something versus just capturing a day.
Totally.
And so it just kind of started going from there, and we started getting more and more inquiries from real estate agents and just other friends that knew of us being able to create and film marketing pieces back in the day. And Brian was in India. I was still in school. I was like, hey, if we don't give this a go now, who knows if we will. So we just kind of kicked things off as I was living in my parents' basement, he was living in his, and it just started from there. We made a smart decision early on to get an office and just create some separation from home.
Totally.
And kind of think back now that everyone's at home again,
Full circle.
Full circle. But yeah, that's kind of how it started, and it just kind of grew from there. Just
Nice.
work hard, don't be a jerk. That's kind of always the mentality that we've had, and brought Jon on in year 3, I think it was, and he brought a lot of different skill sets that we didn't have with directing, and I definitely filmed a few projects back in the day that I was like, this is not good. And Jon was able to pull it back with some animation and effects and just really work his magic into it to help take us to the next level. And yeah, now it's almost year 9, and with 9 people, and it's kind of fluctuated with the team capacity, and had some major shifts around last year with COVID and everything like that for sure. But it's I feel we've never been in a better place than we are now, which is super exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Would you say like the original vision of the business when you first started, like has that changed like a heck of a lot since then? And have you kind of been adapting, or have you still kind of got the same, I don't know, a point in the business that you want it to be in mind?
I'd probably be lying if I said we had a vision when we started things out. It kind of just grew from a hobby into work and into a business. And I've always been very passionate about the business side of things. And my dad had and still has, he's close to retirement, but had his own company. So I really love that angle of things, and being able to, I'm working with a coach right now, Colin McRae. He's been my mentor for 10 years now, and he was helped kind of coach me into even starting this at the beginning, but just learning more about my motives and how I want to just help people succeed and grow in their lives and be able to do what they do and live a happy life. So it's seeing that with getting away from more of the creative side of things into the business side of things, and helping foster the team to be able to do their thing, that's probably been my big shift in where I started to what I do now in my day-to-day, for sure.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to say that's probably a big milestone just in general for the company too, is like, like back in the day, there'd be points where Geoff would be on a computer, like editing a project. And when you're doing that, you're not putting thought into the company. We're not thinking about how to grow it. We're literally just trying to keep our head above water, like get the deliverable done in time. And when you're always trying to catch up like that, you're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about how to grow it. You're not thinking about any of these things. So like, yeah, that was probably a good turning point too. And that was almost even just a mental shift over anything, is like, you can't steer the ship if you're in the back of it rowing. You know?
Totally.
I think that's how you steer a ship, actually, is from the back oars.
That's true.
So,
what's it called? The coxswain? I don't know. I think that's what they're called. Maybe not. Maybe it's the guy that's drumming.
We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah. Let's look that up.
Yeah. No. Well, how do you manage that, Jon? Because you're here with us and in every single detail of projects and in the creative direction of the company, what we're doing. But then you're also talking with Geoff and Ash and everyone about the higher level stuff in the direction. So how do you kind of manage the super nitty gritty stuff to the big picture stuff?
Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's, I would say I just don't sleep. No,
I hope that's not true.
No. Yeah, it's a real challenge, actually. It's been a topic of conversation, even just up to recently, like how much of each can I really do, and how much of the business side can I do while still being the creative director and overseeing things creatively, because I'm the only creative director here and the only director like that's actually full time. We contract out to people and stuff. So I think one of the shifts, I guess, that's helped me over the last while is just being a lot more open with contracting other directors and stuff. And like for me, I think personally for me, it's like it's always been hard to like relinquish some control.
Totally.
I love control, and I love to like make sure everything is done my way, and it's probably it's like, I don't know, there's pros and cons out of that for sure, but I've been a lot more open to just like being like, you know what, you guys know what you're doing, you handle it.
Just
and at
trust
first
it.
yeah, I trust people now, and I'm trusting people more and more to, you know, to be able to do it as, you know, as good or better than me too. Like I can just accept the fact that even if it wasn't the way that I would do it, it's still good. And there's like, you know, there isn't one that's necessarily better than the other. So yeah, like I think that's something, at first there was some guilt around it too, where it's just like, I feel like if I'm just telling someone else to do it and take care of it, it almost feels like you're doing something wrong, but really what you're just empowering them to make decisions without you, and you don't necessarily have to be there every step of the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely it's a great way of phrasing that. This last summer, and really stepping into more of a leadership role and taking more of a visionary approach to what we do, and empowering Jon and Ash to be able to take on more of the day-to-day operation, so I can make sure that we're doing things from a high level and just paying attention to all the team with one-on-ones, and just help steer the ship in a way. But I felt a lot of guilt around that. And I'm learning more and more to just trust that, but I do find myself wanting to step back into projects or muddle here and there, because I want to feel that the team sees that I still add value in things, where being kind of step back, you don't know, there's some guilt around that if you feel like you aren't doing enough, but it's about shifting that framework and thought that the time I put in, how much of an impact can I have with that time to really make big steps and big changes for the greater good of the business, for sure.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's how we all feel. We know you're steering the ship in a good direction. I don't think we've ever felt like you're not doing enough. That's
good.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's talk about the team a bit. So, and specifically like working with our kind of same core group, except for when, you know, when we contract out to different directors and sometimes editors and DPs and stuff. Like Jon, you came into this business from like the big box film and TV world, you know, going from set to set, doing DIT stuff. And, you know, you've talked a little bit about, you know, how you can get pretty close with the people you work with on sets when you're, you know, working with them for like, I don't know, 2 weeks or a month or something at a time. But like, what have you, and obviously your capacity with that has changed a bit, but what's something you've noticed that's pretty different when you can count on the same personalities to be there for, you know, overarching many projects?
Yeah. Like you said, the film industry is, it's unique in that you're with like different set of people every show. I was doing MOWs, like movies of the week, and you know, there's the same kind of like key players that you kind of see all the time. But for the most part, it's like each film is a brand new set of people and a brand new crew and everything. But you're working such long hours and so closely with everybody that you get really close with people right away. And like within a few days, it feels like you've been together for a month straight, because the hours are so long, and like you're just like doing everything together. And if you just better get along, because if you don't, you're gonna have the most miserable next month. So like that side of it is unique to the film industry, I think. And what we do, obviously it's really similar to the film industry. Like we still have our big set days where we're on set and shooting and stuff, but you know, we do commercials for the most part. And I would say the majority of the stuff that we do is all a single shoot day. So we have our crews that we work with regularly, and we've built relationships with them over like a long period of time. And like Brian, who helped found Noravera, he works as a full-time director of photography now, and we contract him out still. So it's just like we have these long-standing relationships with people that we work with, and yeah, we've built it up that way. But for the most part, it's like a lot of work is in prep and stuff, doing it in the office and working with your like group of people in the office. And I guess during COVID, a lot of it's been remote too, but it's quite, I'd say it's pretty different. It feels pretty different, but you have we have obviously a strong team, and we've talked at length about just wanting to build our team with people that we like spending time with, because you do end up spending so much time together. We work fairly long hours. Sometimes like days go really long. Sometimes it's like stressful delivery dates and things like that. And you want to be with people who you know, you get along with, who you could call friends, really. Yeah.
Oh, that's sweet. What about when you guys have to make kind of like higher level decisions? Like that's something that's always sort of fascinated me about being an entrepreneur and a leader in a business, especially with something like this where you have to kind of carve your own path through stuff. What would you guys say is the process to getting to when you kind of have to change the direction of business or adapt it like during COVID? What's that kind of feeling you get when you know that what you're doing is right? Or how do you kind of get past the doubt when making decisions?
Yeah, I mean, like COVID was a massive impact for every business, I'm sure, especially at the beginning when, like, in April, like March, April, people literally thought the world was ending. Like we had no idea what was happening. So it was just like, is it the apocalypse? Like, is there going to be zombies next week? Like, we had no idea. And so it was pretty scary too. Like, you know, having to make decisions for the company. I'm sure, like, Geoff, it hit you.
It was hard.
Harder than me, I'm sure.
You don't, it's when time plays out, that's when you start to understand that you made the right decision. It's kind of just going with your gut, getting as much information as you can at the time, and acting. And I think that's like the biggest thing is making a decision versus being indecisive and just delaying things. Make a decision. You're right or wrong. If you're wrong, you fix it. If you're right, then that's great. And you keep moving forward. But that was definitely a super, super hard time with needing to do some layoffs in March of last year. It's a great team we had, great group of guys that we had to let go. That it's like I love them. It's like they're awesome. But I needed to make the decision that would give Noravera the best opportunity to continue moving forward. And give them the best opportunity to have work at a later date as well. And we still are now working with them again and contracting them in a different way. But seeing where we are now from a year ago, we are in a much better spot. And it was just, looking at the facts, asking other business owners questions and getting a sense of what's going on and just making a decision. And just in 2019, from March through May, we had close to 50 shoot days. This year we had 3. And that was like doing an interview to talk about COVID versus like a full set day. So needing to shift up our model and go into more of a contractor model for cinematographers and directors and things like that. It made sense because we wouldn't have been able to afford to keep them on in a full-time capacity when they had 3 work days essentially over 3 months.
It was like it forced us to make tough decisions that, like Geoff said, like you have to make executive decisions just in general when you're like running a business. You have to just like make a decision right away instead of just like thinking about it for a few months. Like, I don't know if I should do that or not, but like you make a decision and you figure it out after that, whether it was right or wrong. Like, nobody makes the right decision every single time, no matter what. So when COVID hit, it like really forced us to act on things that we might not have had done in an alternate universe. And then like I feel like it was just such a good learning experience too. Like being forced to make those decisions, and then now being able to just sort of know that you can make big decisions like that, not necessarily even just laying people off or something negative like that, but just any decision to grow the company. Like you make the decision that's best for the company, and then you move forward after that.
Wow. Cool. Well, you've talked about, having mentors and business coaches, and obviously nobody can make those decisions for you, but could you each talk a little bit about how those kind of play into the decisions you make, or what did maybe your education as runners of a business?
Yeah, it's like, for me, they've been so huge. And like, well, some have helped me make some of the most important decisions for the company and in my life, and just starting, like, I'm guessing, I'm not guessing, like everyone I think is guessing in their life in what's the best approach to do the best for themselves, their family, the closest people around them, so everyone can move forward in the best way possible. And that's just reflecting on from past experiences of all the things that have gone right, have gone wrong in your past, and having the ability to reach out to coaches or mentors or other business owners to hear from their experience in what they've done in certain situations or circumstances. It provides a lot more context and perspective that I may not have necessarily had before. So it's like, I'm 34 years old and like running a company, and it's like, if I can talk to someone that's in their 50s or 60s and running a larger organization to have that dialogue and conversation, it's so helpful. And I feel very fortunate to be connected with the coaches and mentors and other business owners in the community that I am, to help me navigate what we do with Noravera and move things forward, for sure.
Nice. So you're like a part of like a community of CEOs that kind of...
Yeah, there's EO, it's called Entrepreneur Organization. So there's 170 business owners in Vancouver, and I think there's 15,000 or 17,000 people in the organization all around the world. And pre-COVID, you have EO University, so you go to Dubai or to Sydney, Australia, and all get together for a week and have speakers and get together for dinners after and just talk, and you get to connect with people from all around the world and get different perspectives in different ways. I grew up in Vancouver and I still live in Vancouver, so it's have a somewhat of a sheltered experience from a global perspective. So it's nice to be able to have conversations from around the world.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's really sweet. Wow, that's awesome. What about you, John? What has your experience been like?
I haven't been like, I haven't necessarily been as lucky to have mentors like Geoff has. Like, it's super valuable. I kind of wish I did, but I think I come from a creative background mostly. Everything I've learned about running a business, I've learned literally from doing it at Noravera, which obviously, or often that's the best school, is like in the field, in the shit, just learning it on the fly. But
definitely,
I think from a creative background, my mentors were like, big directors, looking up to the Stanley Kubricks and the Martin Scorsese's and stuff. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've now gotten to a position where I've like learned enough, at least about the creative side, where I could start to help other people who are learning and maybe give someone else the opportunity that I didn't necessarily have. Like, yeah, it's kind of exciting to be able to be at least on the other side of it. I'm obviously not like experienced enough running a business to, really mentor someone on the business side yet, but on the creative side, I feel like it's a nice thing to be able to give back to people and sort of like educate and help other people grow.
I think that's why our relationship has started to work so well together too, because I have that business experience, you have the creative, and we need that together to create what we do, to make an impact for the clients and companies that we work with. So the creative looks incredible and like has that engagement and magic that we're able to produce, but it also has a purpose to drive results for what our clients are after at the end of the day.
Yeah. Very kind of symbiotic, synergistic relationship.
Yeah.
Would you say that's more valuable than being, in a core business team with someone who's very, very similar to you in experience, or would you say that's kind of been more valuable to have very differing backgrounds and experience?
I think it's super valuable to have different backgrounds, and that's why Brian and I were able to create this into what it's become, is because he had the creative side of things, I had the business side of things, and us working together. If we were both just creative, I don't know how it would have worked, or if we were both just business, then we don't know how to make film and like create the content that we do. So definitely having the dynamic of a creative and a business mind, and now with Jon as well, and the team being very, very creative bunch. It's super important to have both of that, but not, I think some people, and it's probably why creatives struggle with starting a business. And it's why I'm always just very open with sharing everything that we do, because I know how hard it is to run a business. Because as soon as you have to go from being a creative to run a business and do the accounting and do the business development and taxes and all of those other things that you don't often think about, it adds a lot, and it definitely shifts the dynamic of what you do on your day to day.
Yeah, totally.
I don't like it, but I'm enjoying taxes and understanding numbers much more than I used to.
I've got some taxes you can do if you want.
Yeah, same.
Do you a favor and give you my taxes to do.
Yeah. Even just being like a freelancer, right? Like, when we're here, I feel very privileged as an editor to be able to just focus on editing, and of course this podcast and all sorts of other cool stuff that I like to do around here. Whereas if I was like on my own, I would be spending 30% of my time looking for work, bookkeeping, doing all that peripheral stuff that I feel like I'd just be doing so I could get to the good stuff, right? Yeah, that's awesome. So would you guys have any advice for smaller team businesses that are trying to grow or feel like they have to at this point? What would be some, I don't know, advice or questions to ask?
Get a bookkeeper. Lawyer as well. Just getting things, especially lawyer up. No, especially if you're planning on growing and you have partners or however it's structured. It's like, make sure that it's set out in the right way, and but yeah, just getting your back end sorted earlier. The earlier the better, for sure.
Yeah,
but that comes with experience and time, and like struggling through things or being behind on taxes or WCB and all of that. And there's a lot of learning for sure. So it's like, try to get a mentor or reach out and ask questions from people that have done it. For sure is what I would recommend.
Nice.
It's like, it's almost the same with everything. I was just thinking about that. Like, you get the structure in place first, and then you build everything up on top of that structure. Like, you can't, it's not the best way. Think of it like you're building a house, you build the frame, you build the foundation and stuff, and then you build everything else on top. But with a business, you can't just like hire 1,000 people and then just like figure it out as you go. It's like, it's a recipe for disaster. I think you have to build the structure, get all the systems in place, and then those systems grow as the team grows.
It's tricky because when you are a creative or you have a hobby or a passion that you love that starts to turn into work, you don't know what that structure and that system looks like.
No, totally. Yeah,
so
you're right.
it is a lot of guesswork as you go. So but again, just listen to podcasts like this or mentors, and just start conversations and have coffees and don't be afraid to let people know that you don't really know what you're doing and you need some help. That's the biggest thing. Vulnerability and just reaching out to networks and just trusting in people, and believe that everyone's trying to, like, there's so much work. It's collaborate versus compete, and just everyone moves forward.
Yeah.
And don't be an asshole and do good work. That's it. That's like
the 2 core rules.
Yeah, totally. If you have to, like, it's often like one of the biggest things is just building relationships with people too. Like, almost a business like ours, where we have a bunch of different clients across like a bunch of different
Industries.
Yeah, industries. Thanks. You have to like build relationships with them. Beyond anything, you can do awesome work, but if you're a pain to deal with, they're just not going to hire you again too. If you do like work that's pretty good, but you're also really good to work with, and you're a breeze, and you're like responsive to emails and stuff, like it does a lot to build these relationships, because you know, they
It's
can
the experience.
Yeah, it's a whole experience. It's not just like delivering the final product and have it be really awesome because, if you're an asshole, they're just gonna be like, let's hire somebody else.
Yeah. Really awesome is also very subjective in our line of work.
Exactly. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, do good work. It doesn't have to be the best work in the world, but do good work and don't be an asshole, and you will retain and grow. You retain clients and grow.
Yeah. I mean, like, doing something really awesome it has such a different definition for everything we do, right? Because everything's got such a different purpose, right? That's part of the challenge, but that's why I like it a lot.
Yeah. And actually, that's another interesting thing with the balance of the art versus like the business side of it is that we're making videos. So you can make, like, if you're trying to sell like soap, you can make the most artistic, most insanely beautiful commercial for soap, and it might not sell as much as like a commercial that's 30 seconds of a shot of a bar of soap sitting on the counter. So like, it's subjective. Like Geoff said, one necessarily isn't better than the other, because when you're in marketing and advertising, your KPIs are how much it sells, what the click-through rate is, how much people buy based on what they're looking at. And not everything we do is necessarily pure marketing, but it's a real balance between the artistic side and being proud of what you work on, and then also just like being able to actually produce something that works.
Right. Yeah.
That's why with our projects now, we're not just creating that one piece with that one idea that we had. It's creating a main core video and then having a bunch of different versions or breakdowns or different calls to action or photos to help build out landing pages or social media accounts and all of that, just to keep a consistent look and feel around that main idea.
Yeah.
But if you're just going all in on one video and your idea is dumb, but you think it's great and you're stubborn about it, then that's not going to be, that's not going to work. So it's really trying to maximize what we can do for our clients to make sure that we're hitting the mark in a bunch of different areas.
Totally. Yeah. So how do we make sure that every project we do has that sort of final intention dialed in and not get like trapped into making something that just looks like really cool that's going to be really flashy, but then people won't know what it is.
You really you have to know what you're trying to do early on. Like one of the first things we try to do when we're like speaking to a new client or a client about a new project is like, what are you trying to do with this? Right. So they can be like, we want a commercial that shows our brand or whatever. It's like, okay, but like, what are you really trying to do?
But why?
Yeah, no, exactly. But why is like the question that you should be asking either yourself or them. It's just like, what's your goal for the video? Where's it going to be? And who do you want to see it? And what do you want them to do after they see it? Right. And you have to know those things before doing almost anything. Before even concepting, you have to be like, what are we trying to do with this, and where is it going to go? Because where's it going to go is now like a huge one that I don't think really existed before. Like 15 years ago, if it was probably just going to TV and it was just going to play between like episodes of fucking Family Matters or something.
Yeah, and it was going to be 15 or 30 seconds.
Yeah, exactly. But now it's like it can be so many different places. There's so many different channels for it to go onto.
So many different looks or different like overlays or things like that to have it look the part for the platform, for TikTok or Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever it is.
Yeah, some cameras are shooting vertical video now.
Yeah,
yeah, totally. Yeah, it's like how you shoot it, when the messaging is, what the messaging is when it comes in.
I really wonder when the first camera is going to come out that has like the ergonomics and it feels nice like a normal camera, but it shoots vertical.
Yeah,
Canon C70.
Is it?
Yeah, it's here. Yeah. It's here already.
It
just came out.
Behind the times already.
I mean, it's like I wouldn't say it's like a big studio camera. It's definitely meant for run and gun stuff, but it does. If you flip it this way, it'll shoot on a
Cool.
So wait a minute, doesn't any camera shoot vertical if you flip it this way?
I mean, technically, yeah, but this just eliminates that extra step of flipping it over, right?
Oh, so you still hold it upright and then you hit a button. And
it flips internally.
I think so. Yeah, I've never had one in my hands, but from my understanding, that's what it does.
Maybe their big development was they just put like a screw mount on the side and the bottom. It's like we've got a tripod mount here, but now we drilled a hole on the side and you can turn the camera sideways.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like a huge breakthrough because Canon and camera manufacturers have been flipping their cameras like this forever. You put the battery
grip on to the battery grip.
Yeah, and then you can just do that. But
but like going back to that, the biggest thing is like knowing where it's going to go. What was I going to say about that?
Knowing where it's going to go and what you want the video to achieve and what reactions you want.
Yeah.
And if even like you just mentioned, the C70 isn't super cinematic or like have that real like epic look to it, but for vertical content on a cell phone, for TikTok or Instagram Reels or whatever, it can't have that look because it doesn't feel organic to the platform, and people are like, oh, this is a sales video, skip.
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah.
So it needs to feel like it can be filmed with a phone. It's like Lucas filming some behind the scenes content with his phone behind what we're doing right now. It's like that will go up on our stories to have people pay attention, to direct them to YouTube and to our blog or where this is going to live. So it's just like trying to create mass amounts of content through different mediums and formats to get attention, and just hopefully people pay attention.
Yeah. And I think unique to right now too, people don't want to be advertised to. They don't want to feel like they're watching a commercial or an ad for something. Like they want to feel like they're watching something that they want to be watching that's cool, that adds like, you know, some sort of cool value to what there's something about what they care about. But you know, if you think of like a commercial in the 50s or the 60s, and it's like, you know, it's like a guy standing in front of a counter. It's like, buy Mr. Clean. Like, this is what you want to buy it. Here you go. It's $7.99 or whatever, or like 7 cents, I guess back then. But now like people will watch a 20-minute ad for a cooler because it looks like a documentary about a guy who fishes. You know, it's like you're watching a story. What was that company?
Yeti.
Yeah. There's like, you know, so many people are doing that now where it's like, this is one giant commercial, but nobody knows it is, and it works the same.
It isn't even really a commercial. They don't even show their product like in it. It's just you need to entertain people, make them laugh, or educate and add value to their day or their time. You can't. Time is valuable. You can't take people's attention or time away to try and sell them something.
Right.
Add value, make them fall in love with your brand, and that's like I've bought a Yeti water bottle because it's like I love the content that they produce. It's like, thank you for telling these stories and entertaining me at night when I'm watching something at home. It's like I appreciate that, and I respect what you're doing, so I'll support you as a brand to continue doing that. And it's like Red Bull, they create all their own events, and they have like, they're the masters of marketing as far as I'm concerned. They didn't just sponsor events, they got into a niche market of action sports and created these crazy scenarios and like events for people to excel and push themselves. And they sell an energy drink. But it's like, it's awesome.
It's true,
Did you ever think that you'd be watching like a 30-minute video of people just racing bathtubs down a street? Like, no, but you did because Red Bull did it and put it on, and it makes you want to drink a Red Bull.
Yeah, it's true. It's amazing how much of a soul brands can have now with so much more media outside of TV, and that you can feel that connection with them because they're able to do so much more and branch out and do more things akin to them rather than, you know, trying to cram everything in a 15-30 second spot, right?
Ads don't feel like ads anymore, and it's good. It's a good thing because it gives opportunity for people like us to make cool things that aren't just a man standing in front of a kitchen holding a bottle of Mr. Clean.
Definitely.
We got to tell the real story, or just create something that is emotional and real. To have people engage with our clients' brands and create that conversion.
Have you guys seen what Red cameras are doing with like Jason Momoa and stuff?
Yes, and Leica too. Leica's jumping in on it.
Oh yeah, it's like it's straight up just another form of marketing, but Jason Momoa, the like Aquaman, is like he's just like all over his social medias and channels and stuff with these cool like red Komodo cameras and stuff.
Cool.
And I don't know what they're doing. They must have some sort of partnership with him, but they're just they're sending him these like gold-plated reds, and he's just like filming like motorcycle videos and stuff with it, and he's just doing his like Jason Momoa thing.
That's
but
awesome.
But it's like I bet that's selling Komodos
for sure.
That's selling red cameras.
You're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, yes, you're making a video about it, but it's not like it's inauthentic because Jason Momoa actually does shoot stuff and
Yeah, exactly.
loves Red, right?
Yeah.
Now he's Jason Momoa, so of course Red's gonna send him some free cameras and stuff. But yeah, that's really cool to see. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. One other really cool trend that I'm seeing as more and more companies that you wouldn't think are just making films now. They're like contracting out to production companies like Patagonia and Farm League are made this documentary called Unbroken Ground about the farming industry, and it's not an ad for Patagonia. It's just a film about sustainable food practices, and I think that's really cool because that's just, I don't know, blending the lines between commercial and quote unquote film.
Mm-hmm.
Even more and more. BMW is doing it. Nutella is making films. Like,
really?
Yeah. It's just I don't know.
Good.
It's super cool. I don't even know what to call it. Like branded
Branded
films,
content,
sponsored films. Yeah, I don't know.
Because it is a commercial for Patagonia way, because it gets down to their core and what their belief is of creating outerwear and clothing to get people out and enjoy nature, but it's the fashion industry is very devastating for the world, so they're doing whatever they can to have an impact and keep the world a beautiful place.
Totally.
So by creating that video that helps fight climate and all of that, it is to their core of what they believe in.
Exactly.
So
yeah.
it helps you engage with that and want to do good for the environment and be a better person in that way. And you know that by buying their products, you're helping support that cause versus going with a competitor of theirs.
Yeah.
And it's neat that Arc'teryx and North Face and all that, they're doing the same things now.
Oh, really? Yeah. Cool.
But yeah, it's just about believing in your core values. And now what neat for us is being able to tell that story through film and get people to engage with it online.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I guess it goes back to what we were saying before, like, because people aren't so limited to, paying X amount of money for a 15, 30-second spot, people have such more of a platform so they can explore more and more about what their core values are and even just forego their products for a second and make something that's more akin to their brand and something that impacts people beyond just, buying a really cool coat.
Yeah.
I guess, yeah.
It's kind of funny. It feels like it's new, but now that I'm thinking about it more and more, I don't know if they were just way ahead of their time or not, but BMW back in the day made these things called the BMW Films. They're like early 2000s films. They're like maybe 6-7 minute short films that with like A-list directors, A-list talent. There's like Clive Owen, what's his name? The guy who directed Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Snatch. Anyway, they've got like A-list people doing these things.
Something.
Oh yeah, I wanted to say Guy Pearce. Guy Ritchie.
Interesting.
Yeah, and so they hired this like, huge production value. They hired all these amazing directors and actors and stuff, and they produced these short films that all centered around BMWs in some way, but it was just like it might just been a chase scene, or it might have just been like someone's driving a BMW in a couple of scenes. But they were awesome, and they did not feel like commercials, and I watched the shit out of those, and they were rad, and they were really well made.
4 BMWs.
Yeah, and now I own 4 BMWs. No, I don't. But I'll remember those shorts, and I'll talk about them 20 years later because they were cool. So I mean, it definitely works.
Yeah.
It's clever advertising.
Yeah.
And they probably cost like $10 million each, I'm sure.
Probably sold more cars than that.
They probably sold $20 million for the cars just from those.
Yeah. More than that, probably.
Probably more.
That'd be bad
Yeah.
ROI. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be double. Spend 10, make 20. That's all right. Oh, I guess that's
Manufacturing
okay,
costs and all
deep
that.
into it.
factored
Let's talk about gross versus net here.
That's a different episode.
Yeah, totally. Well, that's the accounting episode that's coming
Yeah.
up next.
Oh,
We'll get
man,
some
yeah.
accountants in here. We'll
Yeah.
just do math the whole time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you can host that one, John.
Sure, yeah.
Sweet. Well, we're definitely closing up on about an hour. I guess I'd like to end on something a little bit towards the future. What can you guys share about where Noravera is going in the foreseeable? What's going to be the next step of the journey, do you think?
Just, I think, continuing with our path and working towards producing bigger spots and having bigger impact with our campaigns and just continuing to build an awesome team and just create opportunity for people to create and have fun and do what they want to do, and help our clients tell their stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Sweet.
Well said. That and podcasts.
Podcasts.
And podcasts. Yeah,
Yeah.
sweet. Well, thank you guys so much for coming on the Tape It Till You Make It podcast. This has been a stellar second recording, and
It's been awesome. I'm stoked to be here. It's been a thing we've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm stoked that it's finally happening.
Yeah.
So
I'm
thank
just
you
stoked in
guys
this
for putting it
little.
together.
Yeah, I'm stoked in this little living room we have here too.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
It's a nice lounge.
Definitely a silver lining for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
it. Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Sweet. Well, keep thriving, guys. Thanks for tuning in.